Welcome to EastEnders Weekly, the officially unofficial podcast where we chat all things EastEnders.
Good. May I just say how handsome you look today, Ben, in your Bear With Me t-shirt.
Thanks. I'm very hot, actually.
Yeah.
I just had a bit of coffee, now I'm really hot. So
It's not that hot today. Yesterday when we did a bit of recording, I was sweltering, but it feels quite cool in this room now.
no, I'm hot. Hot and bothered.
But I tell you what I'm hot and bothered about, the number of ends this week. Because not only has Game of Thrones ended, but it's also been the end of the premiership of our Prime Minister, one Theresa May. That's right, I'm getting political. I'm bringing this show in line with political...
Well, you can link it to EastEnders because someone
Yes.
added a Julie's theme to her exit
Yes.
and it made it like 10 times better.
Absolutely. Check it out on our Twitter. You can find it. Yeah, so they've added the... And full credits at the end. Although you were a bit confused because you thought that Theresa May was being credited as being played by...
Letitia Dean.
Yes,
but
Letitia
it was
Dean.
Sharon, isn't it? So that was a bit lazy. They could have made it proper.
All right. I didn't see you getting to a computer and making a video like that.
Maybe I will next time. We're going to be discussing the episodes that broadcast between the 20th and 24th of May. And who are you? I'm sure you want everyone to know.
Yeah, I'm Alex.
You are. And I am Ben, the host. I'm taking that role back again now.
Yeah. Taking the reins, jumping back onto the horse.
That's right. So we're going to start off our discussion of this week's with the Karen and Dinah and Mitch news from last week, where she obviously has taken her own life. Karen is dead to Mitch, apparently, even though the next time we see them together, they're sitting quite happily next to each other, arranging a funeral.
Yeah, but he's still not very happy with her. He's a bit broody while they're in the parlour. And Jay drops the bombshell that perhaps there might be an investigation to this murder. This death.
It wasn't a murder.
It wasn't a murder.
You sound like Karen.
Karen is a bit unravelled by all this because she's worried that she obviously has already told Mitch that she knew that Dinah had planned this, and so she thought that once the police investigate it, then perhaps she might get in a bit of trouble for it. Some prison time has been mentioned already by Jay.
I thought it was a bit of a shame that Jay, because he was trying to be a bit relatable when he was doing his funeral news, he could have been like, well, Bailey can come talk to me because I lost my dad when I was around her age. Could have been relatable there, Jay.
I mean, we did see this week with Jay that it's all about the money at the funeral parlour, isn't it? It's all about the upgrade. It's all about
the money.
He does. It's all about getting the more velvet inner lining, the chestnut coffin, going for the top-notch premium range, using people's grief in order to make more money.
Well, Callum's doing that quite well.
Well, he really is. He's got himself a job at the funeral parlour now with Jay, and he's shown that he's got the stripes in order to pull off the cell, doing it the heartfelt way. But we'll be talking about that maybe a bit later on, because obviously there's a lot more to Callum than meets the eye.
Luckily, Chantel sort of had my back, because I was annoyed at Mitch's outburst at Karen last week. And Chantel did have a few home truths for him to be like, well, Mitch, you weren't actually here for a lot of the time. So
yeah, you shouldn't throw stones in glass houses. Yeah. And she has a very wise point, because he's not been there for most of the time, and at least through Karen's faults, she's always there for people, despite whether she's made a bad or good decision in the ultimate outcome. She's always been there as a support unit for someone, which was nice to see Chantel stick up for her mum, because she spent so many weeks up until this point looking down, belittling her, and not really caring.
We also, going on over this as well at the beginning of the week, we had the 1 year anniversary of Shaquille's death.
Yes, and that was mentioned right at the beginning of the week and then forgotten soon after. But it was nice that they brought it back. And
yes, and it kind of showed us how Keegan is still struggling with it. I don't know what's happened with Keegan's therapy. Is he still doing that, or is that just not happening?
Yeah, I think he's still on it. He seems much lighter. He seems a bit more pleasant to be around.
This whole drug thing seems to have just been forgotten. Tiff seems to be normal again.
Well, it was
it's just been written out of history.
I mean, with Tiff and Keegan, it was very much a cry for help, I guess, and I suppose they got that help and the attention, especially for Tiff, the attention that she kind of wanted, and so it's just not really. Let's just sweep it under the carpet somewhat.
I was going to say, I still have little time for Mitch and little investment in him, so I still find it hard to talk about him, but he's been moping around as well this week still, and he's there.
Well, he's been interrupting Mick and Linda's sexy times. I mean, I think Mick and Linda, not that it's been said out loud, but I think Mick and Linda are now trying for a child.
Well, they kind of hinted at it, didn't they? A few weeks ago, she said, maybe there's still time for one more. And then ever since then, that's what they've been doing.
But Mick didn't seem very convinced by that plan. But now this week, they seem really eager to, start the process of trying. Let's just
that's
say.
Mick's favourite bit, probably.
Well, yeah. After scolding his little chipolata.
Yeah, that was his storyline before when he got back from prison as well, wasn't it?
Well, the storyline was that they couldn't be intimate with one another, but that's
then
clearly past.
Yeah, now they can.
The wedding in Australia probably has rekindled their love, and they've realised.
But so yeah, Mitch was drinking at the Vic, and he was like keeping Mick away from his love. Yeah,
well, Mick has always puts everyone else ahead of himself, and although Linda was waiting upstairs, and ultimately ended up falling asleep waiting for him,
as I did throughout the week of EastEnders.
What, waiting for EastEnders to start? You fall asleep?
No, to end.
Oh,
I didn't enjoy it this week that much. No, I thought it was a bit lackluster.
Oh, I quite liked it. It moved stories along.
No.
This is something we should have discussed at the beginning of the show. I thought that yes, there was no big stories or revelations, but then you can't have that every week, and it just
I'm finding it hard to care for any of the characters.
Really?
I'm finding it hard to care for Mitch. I don't really care about Mick and
But I don't think you're meant to care about Mitch. I think you're meant to care about the whole Taylor family as a unit. So you're meant to care about Bailey and Mitch and Karen.
I don't care about Billy. Together. I don't care about Honey. I don't care about Ben. Phil.
Well, I turned for Billy, to be honest with you. I actually took more of an interest with Billy, which again we'll talk about a bit later on with his story with Honey. And well, Phil and Ben, no one really understands what's going on between them two. But I don't think you're meant to care for any of the characters this week. I don't, because Mel wasn't particularly a very...
Oh, Mel? Well, that's a whole other thing.
That's not really...
I have no idea what the hell she's doing.
Well, that's not really a story that, shows any hint that you should be on her side. And a lot of people aren't, I saw on social media.
You need some characters to be on side with, don't you?
Yeah, but you are, and you're on side with Tiff and Keegan.
Tiff and Keegan, actually, are probably one of the highlights of this week, because I quite like their little relationship they're doing, because they're like taking Bailey out and trying to make her feel normal.
Yeah.
And they're slowly accepting their love for each other, but obviously Bernie finds out about this, and then that obviously upsets her.
Well, Bernie has broken up, or more to say that Brooke has broken up with Bernie, because Brooke recognised that Bernie wasn't really going to pass the infatuation or love, as she's put it, for Tiff.
Bit mean of Brooke, I feel. Bit sudden.
No, not really. You don't chase something if it's not worth carrying on, is it? Even Bernie said if you don't feel that way towards someone, then there's no point. And obviously Tiff took that as in that was Brooke saying that towards Bernie, but actually Bernie was kind of saying it about herself, because she is still in love with Tiff. And I think it's a really interesting story that there's this kind of love triangle now developing between the brother and sister who both have fallen for this.
But Tiff is straight.
Golden-haired, red-haired girl known as Tiff. And does she wear her silver puffer jacket? Has she had that? Because I thought there would be a proper ceremony when she came back, and Bernie was going to hand it back to her.
She's not worn it because it's a bit summer now, isn't it?
I suppose we have to wait.
She'll wear it when Bianca comes back.
Well, again, we'll be discussing that a bit later on the show. You keep dropping these little bombs, don't you?
So yeah, I quite like their relationship. But Tiff, she finds out about Brooke being broken up with Bernie, and she arranges to meet her secretly, pretending to be Bernie.
Well, Tiff takes it into her own hands because she thinks that it's all Brooke's fault. This has happened. And
so this means that Brooke must still like Bernie, because she wanted to meet up thinking she was meeting Bernie.
She does. She does like Bernie. It's just that Bernie, she's had to step to one side for her own feelings, because she knows that she can't go anywhere with Bernie, because Bernie won't see past Tiff. So
Tiff's not on the market, love.
But Tiff has taken herself back onto the market.
She's not in the same market. It's
a
different stool.
Yeah, but Tiff loves Bernie. Tiff does love Bernie, obviously in a different way, but she loves her so much that she's then told Keegan that she can't see him anymore. Without any explanation. So obviously Keegan's going to be very upset and confused. I know, he doesn't need the pressure.
His best trackies he was wearing.
Ready to go to E20. And so she's broken up to save Bernie's feelings, essentially. I mean, Bernie is being... I've been an advocate for Bernie for a long time, but I have to say that Bernie is being a little bit selfish. I know you can't help how you feel, but I think Bernie needs to just rearrange her mind a little bit and just say...
When she found out that Tiff and Keegan were dating, she sort of... That was it, wasn't it, for her? She was like... She was really upset and moody and distant.
And she wouldn't... I mean, Bernie, if she just explained to Tiff how she feels, maybe if they just sat down and talked about it, then it could... But then I suppose they've talked about it enough. Bernie has already admitted her feelings towards Tiff.
Tiff already says, I love you, but don't love you.
Well, yeah. So it's Bernie who's finding it tricky to move on. I mean, I do feel for Bernie. Bar. She does need a gay bar. I feel for Bernie because it is so tricky when it's your first person that you... And it's not love, is it really? For Bernie, this is an infatuation. And it's so tricky to just get over that, and you just need someone who can snap you out of it. And perhaps Brooke wasn't the one that could do it, even though they had so much going for each other. They had so many similarities.
Poor Brooke. I want Brooke and Bernie back. B&B.
B&B, yeah, not B&T. We want B&B. But yeah, so Tiff has, kindly stepped to one side. Asked Keegan not to see her anymore, and just to, save Bernie's blushes, I suppose.
Maybe Keegan and Bernie need to have a little chat. And Bernie needs to just accept that Keegan likes her, and she has to accept that he loves someone too.
Yeah, but they've had their chats, haven't they? And I think it's not really led anywhere.
If only Shaquille was there, he could chat to them.
I don't think Shaquille would do much, would he?
Well, they let us believe that he was always there when he wasn't.
When did they ever said that?
Bex always goes on about how they were one true love, and she didn't see him for months.
Well, no, Bex
Bex
dumped him after he sent those photographs of himself to her, and then a week before the storyline, the death of Shaquille, she then realised that she loved him. So he was never there for people. The last storyline that Shaquille had was then and Keegan were trying to date those two girls back at the flat.
That was a week before as well, wasn't it?
So that was it. That was the last storyline. So
shoehorned in.
I don't think Shaquille could do much at all, to be perfectly honest with you. I think Shaquille would just be he probably would have gone away with his mum. But then maybe Carmel wouldn't have left. He
would have wanted Keegan and Tiff to be together. I just know it.
I don't think he would. I think Shaquille would want his wingman with him, and I don't think there'd be any serious relationships happening on that square.
Ooh.
I think there'd be...
What could have been?
Exactly. If they just didn't kill off all the young characters in one go. What could have been?
Next up, we've got a chat about our Callum.
Yes, so we talked about this already, very briefly, that Callum had applied and got the job at the funeral parlour, thinking, though, he was applying for the job at the car lot.
Yes.
Which Rainey wanted, but was refused because she was accused of being a mole for Max. Max's mole.
Yeah, poor Rainey. She's a bit useless. She's not doing much this week. Good. It's all going downhill for her. Every week is worse and worse and worse for Rainey.
Well, not really, but she's again been stirring the pot with Stuart and Bex. So I think Rainey... If
she ain't getting paid for that.
No, she isn't getting paid. But I think this is leading to some kind of payoff, let's just say. Perhaps a blackmail or something.
Well, I'm talking about Callum. And
so was I until you said otherwise. You changed the subject.
Well, all these storylines is mixing up together, so it's possible to keep on to one storyline.
We should try.
But he had like a chat with an old woman who was upset that her husband died.
Yes. Do you know who that old woman was?
Yes. It's very good of EastEnders. Very impressed. Round of applause for them. Because this is the woman, and the husband that's died is the man that Kat hit with a moped like before Christmas.
Many months ago, when she found out that Charlie perhaps knew more than he let on about her molestation when she was younger.
Yeah, because the woman said to Callum, my husband got hit. It was a hit and run, and because he went to the hospital and had scans, that's how they found out he had a tumour. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, very well done.
And then soon died. I mean, I'd love it if she crossed paths with Kat one last time.
Yeah, because Kat could feel like, I don't know, would she feel almost...
She must feel some guilt toward it.
Knowing that he's dead now.
But yeah, I mean, it wasn't her fault that he had the tumour.
No.
And I suppose in a funny way, they had more time to deal with the problem and be together because they had that scan. Cat scan.
So yes, from that accident came something that helped them in a way. So
yeah,
it's very odd, isn't it? Life, that's life.
No, it's all swings and roundabouts, isn't it? But so it someone said on I think it was Facebook, it was nice that they actually have made this Wolford bubble again. So characters that you kind of almost forgot about have come back in, but it makes it feel like there is an actual genuine
little world
community. Yeah, a little world of Wolford
of extras.
Yeah, extras, but not the same. Not just Shrimpy here and there, or
could have been Shrimpy's great aunt and uncle.
You never know. They all live together on the square.
But it was nice seeing Callum being nice and sweet and humble to her and helping her out. So it was a nice change of to see that for Callum, like because he wanted a job where he can make a difference to people, and he's probably going to make more of a difference to people doing this job than the car lot. So it makes sense. Also, apparently Pam and Les have just been keeping the flat empty this whole time, waiting for someone.
Billy and Honey were living in the flat until they got turfed out.
That was ages ago.
Because Billy wasn't working for the funeral parlour anymore. Yeah. So they need someone to rent it. And I'm surprised Jay hasn't rented it. it seems the logical thing
It needs to be
me.
a couple, happy couple.
Les and Pam like that, are they? They're very selective.
Stable couple.
I wouldn't say Whitney is very... I mean,
Yeah.
Whitney, again, like a few years back, obviously, when she was with Lee, she kept going on about getting a stable job, getting our own place,
A
then we
ring,
can marry, then we can
earring,
have children.
presents.
Yeah, that's right. Presents everywhere.
Holidays.
Holidays, yeah. And, this is what ultimately brought Lee down because he felt like he couldn't compete with Whitney's demands. And Whitney is doing it again with Callum.
I know.
I mean, Callum maybe is a bit more strong-minded, but no, exactly. I mean, we know that Callum is in a bit of a dark place at the moment because we know he lied to get out of having to carry on in the army.
Yes.
Because Ben mentions it again this week, and he says to Callum as a kind of an off comment as he's leaving the Vic, watch your leg on that bottle. So Callum knows that...
so much sexual tension there.
There's so much sexual tension with everyone with Ben.
I know, he is, isn't he?
Like with Keanu earlier in the week when he was having that fight. He was proper getting off on that. And then when he hires the guy, again, we'll talk about...
the hitman.
The hitman. He was one of hitmen being so sexy. Ben is... I swear he's on heat.
He is.
He needs... And he was going off on a booty call when he met Callum in the pub. As well.
Well
so...
away.
He really is. He's getting it more than me.
Those Mitchell men.
I know.
But so that worried Callum a little bit. So we wonder how Ben is going to now manipulate him because he's sort of working under Jay, which Jay is obviously working under Ben. So something horrible is going to occur here. Although all of Ben's plans just fail like within a day. So.
Ben is very much a set up a plan and fail.
It's a flop.
Yeah. He's not a flop in all departments though, Ben. No. Clearly. Because he's getting all the on his app, isn't he? Everywhere.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a Callum and Ben relationship. Give Whitney some drama as well. It's all good. Yeah,
maybe she might want to join in.
Well, I think we need to do a second edition of our fan fiction then. If you get that written up, we can read it out.
Well, it wasn't. I'd like to make it clear if anyone has listened to our extra episode of fan fiction, none of it was written by us. However, if any of you guys have some fan fiction you want to share with us,
we have got someone writing one, but they've not done it yet.
Oh, okay. Well.
But when she does, we'll read it.
We will read it. We'll do a special episode. Send it to us at EastEnders Week on Twitter. Do it through a DM. Don't do it through lots of tweets.
No.
Or do tweet long. What's it called? Twitter long or something?
I have no idea.
Anyway, or email us, eastendersweek@gmail.com.
Yeah, I like that. A Callum, Ben and Whitney fan fiction.
Again, we set up the plot and you write them for us.
Or a Sharon, Keanu, Ben fan fiction. That'd be funny too.
Oh, no. Ooh, I don't like the idea of Sharon and Ben. It's almost...
No, they're not.
I know, but it seems incestuous to me.
Oh, no, they wouldn't be doing it in the fan fiction, but it could involve those three characters.
Okay. Or if you have ideas of your own. Maybe a Jack, Denise and Jean.
Oh, no.
Well, why not?
That's horrible.
They don't also have to all be about sex, although most fan fiction
most
is
of them were.
sex.
It was really hard for us to find some. Right, next up we have our feature where we are reviewing past year of EastEnders. So...
An EastEnders classic feature.
Yes, enjoy. So we are here to give a brief review of 1988, which has just finished airing on the Drama Channel. Quite often rated as one of the best years in EastEnders history. So that's good. Lots going on this year.
I mean, it's also the last full year of the original creators of and producers.
Yeah, Julia Smith and Tony Holland. And it was like a year of goodbyes, and it was like people see it as the last year of classic EastEnders.
Yes, and there's a lot of discussion because obviously it's been billed as classic EastEnders on the Drama Channel, whether it stops being classic EastEnders now and it's now just old EastEnders or, EastEnders from the past. Yeah.
So we've got lots to go through, loads of exits and entrances and all sorts going on. Quite a good year. I mean, the first half of the year I'd say was probably better than the second half.
Oh, I agree. It kind of dragged into the end, didn't it? Not to say there wasn't good stories, but funnily enough, the big stories tended to be around the summertime, which is very strange. And there was no Christmas episode this year either.
Well, that annoyed me.
Yeah, I know. Well, you were adamant that we missed an episode. You went through that DVR box a million times trying to find an episode. You were adamant.
Yeah, it's just weird. Very strange. I mean, the beginning of the year, I suppose we can talk about Ange, because this is the year that Angie leaves, and she had most of her storylines at the beginning of the year. She also went on pantomime leave, so she was off the screen for quite a while.
But she was in hospital.
Yes.
Because she'd fainted and and she's kind of poisoned herself now. She can't drink alcohol anymore. But this is Ange, and we kind of know that this is better said than done, really.
Yeah, and I suppose Ange is such an iconic character, but these last sort of 4 months of hers weren't her best months, I suppose. She was sort of just going along, wasn't she, really? I found her character.
Yeah, but she was always, she knew she was leaving, and they didn't give the same kind of incentive to prolong her departure like they did with Den, because they were obviously in 1988, both Ange and Den wanted to leave, or the actors wanted to leave, and so they deliberately asked Den to film some extra scenes so it felt like he was still in the soap.
Yeah, they didn't think the show could survive losing both of them at
two
the
big
same
characters,
time.
as well as, and I would say quite important characters as well, because Lofty and Punk Mary left this year too, and Lou died this year, so some big characters, some memorable characters, and so they gave her a leaving story that she ran away. Well, she didn't. She kind of ran away to run a pub abroad with a married man.
Hopefully, a better life.
Yeah,
we're assuming.
And Sharon feels a bit like she's been abandoned by her mum, and then her dad gets taken away because he's arrested for arson of the Dagmar, which we'll get back to in a minute. And yeah, so it was a bit of a kind of like a but not a trumpet exit.
It's funny because it was like back then, like Angie leaving. If that was now, she'd have like a whole week dedicated to her leaving.
Oh yeah,
probably like an hour special, and there'd be all sorts. But back then, it was literally she just said goodbye one evening, went in a taxi, and then went.
Yeah, and yeah, so exactly
that was it. It was it was really like
and there was no Julius theme either.
No, I know.
Well, we were just sat there waiting. And it didn't come up at all.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's been no Julius theme. If you listen to our section about Julius theme,
oh god,
Julius legacy on our previous podcast, we do say that right at the beginning of the show, Julius theme was used quite liberally. It was painted about everywhere, and they're
not used for ages.
And they're not used for a really big exit for such an iconic character like Angie.
Madness. Also, this year we mentioned Lou Bill passing away, but before she died, she did get to see her old Kenny again, because Kenny made an appearance with his daughter Elizabeth.
He did, Ian's cousin, which we've had a bit of a discussion on this podcast. Is it right for Ian to date his own cousin?
And the only one on the square who called him out on it was Kathy.
Yeah, of course she did.
Of course.
She sees things. She doesn't see things through rose-tinted glasses. She sees food as it should be, properly, straight.
And, this was a really good 2 weeks when he was down, and there was all the secrets with who the father is to Wixie.
Yes.
And all the family dramas between all of Pete and Kenny and Pauline and all sorts. So it's a really good week.
Pat was in it as well.
Oh,
Pat kept swaying from one way to the next. Oh, it's Pete's. Oh, it's Kenny's. Oh, it's neither of yours.
Den's.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it did. It came to that really at one point.
But yeah, that was nice seeing them, and that's what Lou wanted for one last time, to see her Kenny.
Yeah.
So obviously we know that she then eventually left. Because she was quite absent through most of the year, the actress. She appeared every now and then for a few funny storylines. And one of her best storylines was waiting in the queue to get into the bric-a-brac sale.
Oh, the tabletop sale. Yeah, that was fantastic. She made an excuse that she was having an angina attack, so she could get let in. And then when they were sitting at down, would you like a drink of water? I said, don't worry about that. And then went from table to table to get all the good bargains.
And then obviously she went away, and then she came back, she then came back because she knew she was going to die.
Yes.
So she had a whole week dedicated to her, didn't she? It was just focused on her.
Yeah.
Going around making sure all her unfinished business is finished.
That's right. She, first of all, from her home, she ordered people back to give Wixie a gift, and Ian his Biggles book, which he would later sell for a blender. And one by one, and then she goes and visits Pat, and they have it out one last time. But they agree that they were both fighting for their corner, both fighting for their cause, and gave Pat back the brooch that she had bought for Lou when her
wedding.
and Pete got married, which I thought was lovely. And they referenced it right at the end of the year as well, when they remembered Lou's death.
Yeah, it was near Christmas, and she was wearing it, wasn't she?
Yes.
And she gave Simon a stone, which was the worst gift out of all of them, I feel. But he still had it on Christmas Day.
He had it at the back of the bar.
And of course, there was the pocket watch that she gave to Pete.
Yes, that's it. The pocket watch that Pete was literally polishing the metal off of. for a whole episode near Christmas, which Kathy then quite rightly threw on the floor and broke.
That.
I know, I was so happy.
Good one, Kathy. She's like, oh, for God's sake, she smashed it on the floor.
Because Kathy's a bit sick and tired of the ghost of Lou Bill lingering over the square. She's like, well, she's dead now. Let's move on. Am I the only one who can see that we should move on with this?
Oh, it's so funny. Good old Kathy. She's found her feet.
She does. She just says it as it is, as it should be.
We also had the amazing, there was a 15-minute scene, which is her last scene with all the family in her living room. And she's giving them all what's for, which was also a great scene as well. Yes,
just dishing out advice, because Lou always knows best.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time giving everyone the gifts. And I think Pauline gets a ring. Obviously, Ian got the Biggles book. Pete got the pocket watch. And she also says that Pete and Pauline both share the ownership of the fruit and veg store.
Both head of the house as well.
Yes, which I think disappointed Pete a little bit.
And Pauline.
But didn't surprise us very much, because I think that Pete is...
useless.
He's just useless. Whistling as he comes into a room.
Licking his fingers all the time.
Yes, right. So we noticed this week that if he picks up a book or a bottle, a can of Coke, you lick your fingers to get some kind of
purchase on opening a bag, maybe, or a bin bag.
Yeah, which you do as a fruit and vegetable seller, but not opening the door to your car, lick your finger, going into the laundrette and asking Dot if she can do his laundry.
Underwear.
Yeah, lick his finger. He just licks his finger for everything. I don't know if he's got some honey on the end of it or something. He just likes the taste of it. Just give him
method actor. Along with Lou Bill leaving, Ethel, she didn't leave, but her role was kind of taken down from a recurring character to a guest character, which was a shame. It seems so early to do that to Ethel.
It was, and I think they realised their mistake, because then near the end of the year they brought her back and got her in a relationship with Benny Bloom.
Yes.
The man with the craziest sideburns this side of Walford.
I really like him. He's really sweet.
I do, but I just can't get over his sideburns. It's really weird. He just kind of stops. The shave, it's almost modern, but not. I don't know. I just don't.
I've never noticed them.
Yeah, his moustache kind of comes out a little bit, and then he's got a bit of a sideburn, and then there's nothing, and then he's got the rest of the sideburn on the side of his cheek.
You leave Benny Bloom alone.
I don't mind the guy. Ethel was very upset with him because she thought he was going to ask him to marry her, or her to marry him.
It's a relationship that doesn't last, unfortunately.
Oh dear.
Because it ends in the beginning of '89.
Oh, the year we're approaching.
Yes. But yeah, I think that was a mistake for lowering her role, especially when they were losing so many characters.
Yeah.
But we don't know what was going on behind the scenes. She might have asked. She might have been tired. Who knows?
It might have been difficult for her to keep up to the filming regime, maybe.
But she did come back with a great storyline where her, Dot, and Benny were trying to start Neighbourhood Watch, and they caught a burglar.
Oh yeah, I was so happy when Dot caught him. The citizen's arrest. It was fantastic.
It was very good.
Yeah. They were sat in that window. They kept making comparisons to Rear Window, the Alfred Hitchcock film as well. And they caught that robber from stealing all those bits and bobs. They locked him into his car and said the police are coming.
Real sense of justice for Dot. She got her name in the paper. Well, her name wasn't in the paper, but she was showing it around to everyone.
Her name was in the paper, but they spelled her name wrong.
Oh, right.
They spelled cotton wrong. Presumably they spelled cotton with only one T or something.
Also, we had our favourite Punk Mary.
Yeah.
Not gone for good, though, because she did come back in 2019.
She did.
And yes, hers was we've talked about her exit before, but that's always fun. And her dad stayed on for a little bit afterwards, but he then soon went off.
We didn't have much use, did he, really?
No.
He really didn't. And he got, obviously...
He ran out of fags, I think.
He did. He was smoking everywhere. He'd just walk into a room and he'd have a cigarette lit.
One of my favourite things of him, Chris, I think his name was when he was painting the car lot, and he was painting something and dipping a brush in a pot and had a fag and all in the same one hand. It was so funny. It's just one scene, but I remember watching that.
Isn't paint flammable? So
Possibly.
if a bit of hot ash fell into the pan, into his face, maybe that's why Punk Mary left. Maybe that's why Punk Mary threw the paint can over the thing to light it later.
We also had Lofty leaving. Lovely Lofty.
I mean, it was a sad ending, but a good one, because he got to do something he wanted to be remembered and liked for his life, so he went off to work in a children's home. But it's also, and he always wanted his own children, and that's why it was very sad as well. It's bittersweet because he left also because he felt betrayed by Michelle after she had her abortion of his child without him knowing.
Yeah, and Den was always there to put him down, wasn't he? Like, he always hung around to put him down.
Yeah, but at the end of it, he kind of said, I did it just to firm you up and make you more of a thicker-skinned guy. And I think Lofty appreciated that. Even if he didn't, Lofty would never say that. Lofty would always be like, thanks, Den. Thanks for doing that. That's great.
Lovely. We know he went on to do great things because he also returned.
Yeah, with a cheque for Michelle.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not Michelle.
For Vicky.
For Vicky, yes.
So I wonder if that will come up again. Hope so. So then we go on to later in the year. We've discussed it before, but we have the Kathy and Wilmot Brown rape in the Dagmar, which then coincides with Den torching it as part of a deal with the firm, which then leads him on to his exit that he filmed all in advance. So he's into it until about February of next year, of 89.
But he filmed all his scenes when he goes to Dickens Hill in like the space of, I think it was 2-3 weeks. Very condensed, very pressured filming so that they can spread it out over 9 months.
There's a lot to get through.
There is. You can listen to episode number 32 because we actually talk about Dickens Hill in our feature, A Brief History of Walford.
That coincides when Mick was in prison, didn't it?
That's right, so that's why we talked about it, because Mick was in Dickens Hill too. Lots changed, hasn't it? It looks less like a prison and more like a school now.
It was. I mean, these prison scenes, they started off okay, and I liked the bits when he was hiding out in that house with that woman, but like they are going on for a little bit. I think they should have cut the apron strings and just let him leave, because it's like, oh, come on.
Yeah, it is really.
It's so disconnected with everything else on the square. But
I mean, on paper it sounds really interesting, but because they, like you said, they're just trying to remind you that this character is still in the soap, just to kind of tide the soap over. And it's a bit sad, really, that they felt like they had to do that in order to keep the soap going, because actually,
I think it drags it down more than what it would have done if he just left.
I agree. They could have. I think they could have easily had just done scenes where they visited Den. But I don't think they needed to have the whole
these
characters in the prison, because actually what happened on the square was pretty fine. It was okay. Pauline's still very upset with Den as well, because she's told Den that she's realised that he knows who the
father is. Pauline's told Michelle as well, so they sort of have this love-hate relationship all throughout the year.
Yeah, Michelle feels like she has to kind of cut her ties from the family. She's a bit like Kathy. She's on Kathy's side a lot also with the whole Wilmot Brown story. And so she wants to live her own life and not be under the shadow of the Beals.
The Beale family, yeah. Everyone's trying to break that tradition, because Ian as well is turning into the Ian Beale we know.
Yes.
He's gaining money slowly throughout the year, and he's getting richer and richer and richer.
From just seems to be just little catering jobs from here and there.
He's on it, isn't he?
Yeah, and the cafe seems to be allowing him just to use their space for him to keep doing all these bits and pieces.
Oh, yeah. And the other Bill who's not doing so well is Pete. He's not coping well. Pete and Pauline don't seem to be coping with change. They're
Really
old
bad.
EastEnd, aren't they?
They really are.
So that's a continuing thing for next year.
But Pete's having a big problem with Kathy as well, because he can't handle the...
She's independent.
Yeah, well, she's independent, but also that he seems to always not accuse her directly, but that she's fabricated the truth a little bit about the Wilmot Brown, and perhaps she did lead him on. And it's like, all right, Pete, calm down.
And he still wants to treat her like an old-fashioned wife.
Yeah.
Like, he makes her make him his breakfast.
Yeah.
Like, even though she's busy working, and it's like, she's modern, like, she's moving on with times, and he is just stuck in the past.
It cracked me up when because they went on holiday to kind of like just unwind after the whole Wilmot Brown scenario. And when Pete came back home and he had a bowl of cornflakes, oh yeah, nothing like a British breakfast. And it's like, can you not get cornflakes in the Costa del Sol, Pete? So,
apparently not.
Goodness sake, Pete.
Yeah, and also just last off, like one of the most boring things this year, which really hasn't worked, I don't think, is Carmel and her family, because her brother got introduced, Darren, and then he left already, which didn't really amount to anything. And then she's got her boyfriend, and now they're engaged, and they're really trying to push their
mixed race relationship.
Yeah, but it's just a bit like dull. It's really boring.
I mean, there's no kind of jeopardy to it, really. It's because they're quite independent
they're just happy
themselves.
just having sex all the time.
Yeah,
like...
that's it. I mean, there was hints that Carmel's husband or husband-to-be was getting a bit exhausted from all the sex, but that was more of a silly story rather than yeah.
They can't seem to write a young modern couple very well yet. Still,
no.
Like they're a bit Debbie and Andy, aren't they? But worse, I think.
Debbie and Andy.
If that's possible. But
I mean, they're happier than Debbie and Andy. I don't think Debbie and Andy ever had a happy day on the time of the square.
But so no Christmas episode, even though Pauline went on for about 3 months about it.
Wanting
so we don't
Christmas dinner.
Yeah, we don't know who turned up, what the first Christmas was like without Lou, unfortunately.
It's really weird. They pushed a story so heavily for there then to be no outcome to it.
Yeah,
No
very
payoff.
odd.
It was really silly. Really silly.
But yeah, I mean, very good year. I mean, obviously the beginning of it had more to it. Right up until the Dagmar burning, I think that's when it went a bit downhill. But up from there, it was great.
Yeah, I mean, 89, I've heard a few rumours that we shouldn't be too excited.
No, one of the worst. Not the worst, but...
I mean, we perhaps...
We've had the worst.
We've had the worst quite recently, yes.
So
there is
in a few months we can then hopefully do a review of 89.
Yeah, and maybe we might not be quite so infused by it, but we'll see. Maybe we'll watch things you watch back in past. It's like the bin storyline. A lot of people poo-poo it, but now looking back on it, it was a miracle. It was amazing.
I'm sure. So there you go. That was our review of 1988 EastEnders.
Some classic EastEnders looking back at the past in the future.
I know. What year are we in now?
Well, I tell you what we are doing now, and that is talking about the EastEnders Weekly Podcast Awards. And that's coming up very soon in the future. And we still need your votes. As I said last week, you have all voted in your 100, let's just say. It's been great. So thank you so much. But we need to make sure that everyone gets a chance to give their voice out to who they think should be the best male.
Who's the sexiest male? No, who's Mr. Wolford?
Yeah, Mr. Wolford, Miss Wolford. There's Best Exit.
Best Bitch. Best cow next year.
Yeah, best performances. They're all on there. So go to bit.ly/EEW Awards and you can vote. It will take 2 minutes, especially if you're quite strong-minded and you just go, yep, that one.
And you get to show your opinion, which is always fun.
That's right. And they will be announced in a special show that we'll be producing later next month with the results. And we're also hoping to send out prizes too. So let's just keep our fingers crossed that we can... do that without any trouble.
But to win awards, you need good storylines.
And where will we find them?
With Bex.
Yeah!
Oh, Bex. She's really let me down. I've not been enjoying her studying storyline. I'm not enjoying her pill storyline.
Right.
And I don't like her and Stuart.
I mean, the Bex story
I have so much faith for her because I really like Bex and she's the last female Fowler and I want her to be up a gear. They've made Louise better recently, and she's not that stupid bratty teenager anymore.
No, she's grown up quickly.
Yeah, I want them to move her onto the next stage as a character, from the kid actor to a proper character. Yeah,
she's still that kind of a bit of a whiny teenager, isn't she? Yeah, she's almost gone back on her original. When she first came into EastEnders, she was the bratty, quite self-opinionated, a bit grumpy, goth, teenager. And then she matured quite quickly. She had a hair coloured.
And a whole new wardrobe.
Yeah. Went down to Primark, got herself a couple of paper bags worth of clothing. Fine, sorted herself out. Found out she could go to Oxbridge, and then she's almost self-destructed herself again, and just thought that the world's imploding around her. I mean, Sonia and Martin. And again, there was a lovely reference to Martin saying, I'm not working in the chip shop this week again. But Sonia and Martin have obviously been pushing her. And that's ultimately, I think, where the story is heading. Because she's finding consolement from an outside source, which Sonia can't really get her head around. Because her and Stuart are becoming much more closer and friendlier. And he kind of knows that she's perhaps taking these ADHD pills, and he repeatedly tells her, you are better than this. Every time that he consoles her and helps her, and she thanks him or hugs him or just gives him a thank you kind of knowing look, Sonia comes storming into the room and just blows it out of proportion and thinks that something wrong's going on.
You're hugging, what's happening?
I know. I mean, when Kush and Bex hug, and again, they've not really hidden it. There's no problem with that.
Uh-huh. They can go running together.
And I appreciate they can around the house. And I appreciate that Stuart has got a very dark past, but they have changed his character.
Happy for him to live in the house.
Well, yeah, Sonia seems to be quite happy with him. And kind of ignores Tina after Tina, as we've said again, week on week, that Tina confessed in front of Sonia these horrible things that Stuart had done to her that was repressed as a memory. A repressed memory. That's all you have to say to show how nasty and horrible what Stuart had done. Oh no, stay in our house, it's absolutely fine. You've redeemed yourself.
It's weird, isn't it, what they're doing with Stuart?
It's like you don't know, you can't be happy for Stuart that he's found this redemptive path, but at the same time there was a lot of history to erase, but also there's a lot of characters that won't let him forget it. So I think I get what's going on here. I think ultimately Stuart's going to revert back to his old ways. But
do you think they've written out that he killed Dylan Box and they're just going to say Dylan isn't dead?
I think they're just going to get a phone call. One day, Mick's going to answer the phone and say, "Oh, I haven't heard from you for a while," and just be on the other end. Yeah, all right, not too bad. Yeah, great.
Because Dylan is the one that's been blamed for the shooting at the moment, isn't he?
Well, the police are looking for Dylan. Yeah.
So, and last time we saw Dylan was on that dam, and apparently Stuart threw him off and kept the money and his passport. But I'm guessing that's been rewritten, so they're not making him a murderer now, I guess.
Well, you just don't know what happened with Dylan.
But when it happened, it was obvious that he died because he had his passport and he had the money, and the deal.
Well, no, because he wanted Dylan not to get out of the country, and the deal was that he was going to take the blame for. But you think the police would have
for money though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but you think the police would have found him if he, as you said, if he's in a murder investigation. I don't think the Bulford police are that inept, are they?
Jack Branning was employed once.
Well, yeah, but he was one of the bad ones. He was the bad egg. He's the one who they still leak to every now and then. If you want to know, you need to speak to Jack. Speak to Jack. Break into Jack's laptop. Read some of his emails.
Passwords.
No, yeah. He's too cheap to pay for a streaming account.
I can't wait to talk about that storyline because I don't know what happened.
Well, I've got the gist of it.
We also had the storylines because Bex is like also confessing her love for Kush. So we also had on the other side of this the Kush and Kat storyline. Everyone's forgotten it's a year since Shaquille died, apart from Bex, Keegan and Kush.
And Carmel, she sent some flowers.
Oh, yes, with Love You X. So yeah, everyone else is forgotten. So Kat is getting upset and angry because Kush is ignoring her.
Yes.
But he's actually at a grave.
Yes. I mean, Kush's feelings were very much just trodden into the ground this week because Bex comes along and visits the grave and then says that she loves him on Shaquille's grave. As we were talking about earlier, Bex makes this huge, great big deal about, what would Shaquille think? What would Shaquille have done? Oh, I love Shaquille. Oh, I can't believe I broke up with Shaquille. Oh, I loved him so much. And then on his anniversary of his death, at his grave.
Yeah, wait a minute. Your older brother's quite sexy, actually.
Yeah. And she won't give it up either because she spent the whole week stewing over, shall I text him? Do I apologise? She looks at him over the square. I don't know what to do. And eventually she does say, I messed up. I apologise. After speaking to Louise, which is the best gossip Louise has had since she found out she was pregnant. And she then walks away after apologising with Kush, and Kush said, okay, that's okay, don't worry about it, and smiles. So now she thinks she still has a chance with Kush. I think Bex and Bernie need to have a word with themselves, quite frankly. They need to sort themselves out.
They need a gay bar. They need to talk to Kathy.
They need a good night out, them two. They need a good night out, put on their best high heels, short skirts, and just chat to some other men or women. There's plenty out there. Don't be obsessed. The whole world doesn't live in that square. Go outside of Walford.
Yeah, give Mr. Price a call.
Yeah, that's what Lauren did.
Left school now.
Yeah, Lauren Branning went out the square.
Yeah,
look at her. She found
got Superman.
She did.
But then left him.
Yeah.
Fool. What a foolish girl.
I know.
Did Bex see that Kush and Kat announced their love in front of everyone?
No, she came in before the.
It's just in front of extras,
kisses.
Really, wasn't it?
Lots of extras.
Extras and Tina and Shirley. So no one really knows.
Well, Shirley was well excited. Yeah, no. Shirley was very excited. As soon as she saw that happen, she turned to Tina and said, "Tinder me up."
I know.
Yeah. So Shirley, I think a love interest for Shirley is in the. I think that's a story. I think you're going to see Shirley go on lots of different dates, and you're going to see it slowly be more and more worse as time goes, as each date continues.
I mean, how are you finding Kat and Kush? I still find it hard to say, let alone talk about. Yeah, what are you thinking about these two?
I don't mind, actually. I think the relationship is fine. The only thing that winds me up a little bit is that they just can't seem to kiss properly.
It's very wet.
It's really wet, and it seems like one opens the mouth and one closes it, and then they kind of peck at each other.
Are they?
No. So the energy between them isn't Sharon and Keanu by any means, because when them two were being passionate with each other, you could see there was something there. It was exciting, and the actors kind of had that kind of almost that passion. So you could kind of see offset that maybe they went back to each other's flats as well, and they maybe they read through the script together. But with Kat and Kush, it doesn't seem to this. Although the characters are meant to be,
hot and
in love, and sex, the sex is hot and everything. It doesn't quite gel there yet, and I think it might be because Kat is always going to be Alfie, Moon, and Kat. And it's going to be difficult to see it out because when Alfie broke up with Kat and he started dating Little More or Roxy, yeah, exactly. It just didn't feel quite right. And I think
it's one of those weird couplings, isn't it? Kat and Kush, it's like that.
You just need to shake. You need to shake off Shane Ritchie, like we all do, and then kind of see it from a different point of view. And I think it may take some time, but I don't mind the idea of it.
No. But it's hard to say, so that's one of the main problems. Kush. Yeah.
It's like
But Kush has an idea that he wants to do better in his life and take more of control and be more of a man.
yeah,
So
more responsible.
Yeah, so he now has the idea of having shared custody with Arthur, even though he kind of pretty much does, really.
Well, and Kat does say that to him, that he's Arthur is only over the square, but Stacey drops in that
The square's
Arthur's
a big place.
Yeah, the square is a big place, but Arthur is having a phase, and that instantly hits
That was really
Kush.
weird.
Well, I mean, a phase, it's something it's like a child's development, isn't it? So I suppose to Kush, it's like I'm missing a big part of his development, and so after Kat has a chat with him about, there's more to life, there's a lot to live for, she kind of convinces Kush to perhaps look for shared custody with Arthur.
But I don't know why Kat is so against him asking them, because would they object to it, do you think, Martin and Stacey?
Well, it would mean Martin and Stacey wouldn't have Arthur 24/7, and it wouldn't be about visit. No, I mean, they have lightened the load of the Slater house. It's a much more sensible number in there now. But yeah, it would mean Kush would have the Arthur staying over weekends or whole weeks.
No, I don't think they would mind. They're like best friends, Martin and Kush.
Who's going to care for Arthur though when Kush is working during the week?
Stacey and Martin. That's what shared custody is.
But that's
easier for everyone.
So instead of applying for shared custody, why doesn't he, which Kat does suggest, just talk to them, just sensibly talk to them and say, right, you know what, when I'm working, you have Arthur, and maybe on Monday, Wednesday, Friday evenings, I can have Arthur overnight.
During Martin's fish and chip.
Martin's working at the fish and chip shop. It gives Stacey a bit of a rest from having 12 children to look after, down to 11, You
see, all these problems would be solved if they just had a chat, had a little sit down. Kush did try to, and then Kat stopped it.
Well, no, because Kush wanted to say, I want custody, and that's a bit more like I'm taking the legal route here, while Kat was more like, well, why don't we just chat about it?
Didn't Kush say we can settle it all out of court, just by talking to each other? I'm sure he said that to her.
No, I think Kat was the one who suggested it.
Okay.
I don't think even court was mentioned, but it sounds legal, doesn't it? If you say, I'm applying for custody,
yeah, I guess.
It's a very legal way of doing it, so you'd have to get solicitors to talk to one another, and yeah, as you say, go through court.
I mean, this is obviously, I'm guessing this is just building up to Lacey's maternity leave, I guess, the way the storyline's going to go.
Well, she's going to have a breakdown and take Arthur with her.
Something's going to happen, because she has to leave for 8 months.
So
I'm guessing that's going to happen, or her and Kat are going to argue, So I'm trying to work out how they're going to write her maternity leave in. Since she's so rooted in the square, it's really difficult.
Yeah.
She's got all those kids, and she's happily married, they're not arguing at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, there is strains between Martin and Stacey developing every now and then.
They're quite happy though for them at the moment.
For them, they're over the moon.
So I'm assuming this is leading up to Stacey's leaving exit, but I don't know how.
I just don't know how that could happen. No, the only thing I can think of is Martin and Stacey decide to, I don't know, go to a fruit and veg convention.
No, he's not
in
leaving.
Miami.
He's just got back from his paternity leave. That actor.
Oh, if only they could sync their babies up.
I know,
They're how inconsiderate of the actors.
So I'm assuming something's going to happen, and the Slaters are going to fall out, and Kat's going to side with Kush.
And what then? Kat's going to Stacey's going to be, I can't stay in the square. It's too upsetting. And then
8 months.
Yeah, conveniently 8 months.
Go see Sean. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be Sean related. Could be that Sean gets in touch and he can't, do the therapy, handle it as well as he thought he could, and so he's asked her to come down.
But it's difficult because now Jean's on the square as well. She can't even go off and stay with Jean. There's no one to go off and stay with. Charlie's dead. Little Mo, she free? She got a free bedroom?
There's her aunt.
Which one?
The one who Elysium.
Oh, she's travelling the world, isn't she?
Wait, no, she went to Italy.
Belinda.
There's Belinda.
Yeah,
she could visit Belinda. Lynn, we don't. Lynn's one of those.
Tour.
We kind of pretend Lynn doesn't exist anymore, don't we?
Lynn lives with lots of dogs. 5 dogs.
Does she?
So that wouldn't be suitable. But it's just hard.
Children, no.
I'm looking forward to seeing how they write her out, because it's really difficult because they've rooted Stacey right into the square with all these people. So it's really going to be difficult to find a reason for her to leave.
Visit Carl?
Will she leave with all her kids?
In France, she could visit Carl in France.
Yeah.
I don't think
a little tour.
I think it doesn't really matter if she did go with or without her kids. Her kids don't really seem to get a mention. The only one who does is Claudia Winkleman. I forget her name. Lily, yes. Lily's the only one who had a bit of a star turn recently.
But then you've got to write in why she would leave but not take her kids.
No,
Or is she going to take all the kids?
Is it family? Martin went to a funeral for 3 weeks and didn't take his kids with him.
Yeah, that's not 8 months.
Yes, but you know what they're like. It'll be, first of all, she's going away for 2 weeks to see Carl, for argument's sake.
She's lost her passport.
Yeah, she's lost her. And each week there'll be an extension.
She got flu.
Yeah, she got flu on the plane, and she wasn't allowed to fly. And yeah,
she's in prison in Mexico. It's gone wrong.
She's got a job doing part-time hairdressing.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's where it's going to go. But yeah, again, it's just a bit of a meh for me, this storyline.
Yeah, it was all right. I don't know. I've not got such a big issue with Bex as you have, just because Stuart's involved, and I think this is basically leading up to a bigger story for Stuart further down the line. So because of Stuart, I'm happy. We'll see.
We will. Right, next up, I think we have a new game. So I hear on the rumour mill.
Yes. Why don't we have a listen and find out what it is? It's the birth of a new game.
Oh,
yeah.
I like a good birth.
So do I. A nice quick one down the minute mark. Yes, a brand new game, and it's called Court Stinks In Ere.
Classy.
Yeah. Do you know why it's called that? Can you fathom why the game is called that?
Stinks In Ere, because it's the first line of EastEnders.
That's it. You've got it spot on.
Oh, thanks.
So it's the first line of EastEnders. So the game premise is as follows. What I'm going to do is I'm going to list 5 characters from EastEnders. Then I'm going to list 5 first lines, and you have to match the first line to the character.
Oh, yeah. Exciting.
And this week
Can this range any year?
Whenever they're introduced.
35 years of history, okay.
35 years of history. But you can probably get it from what they say.
Encyclopedia out.
Yeah, but if you listen to what they say, their nuances, I'll try to do it in the same...
Well, did you know that Kate Oates, in one of her talks years ago, she said the way that you know a character is written well is by looking at a script, not having their name on there, and knowing the character that's saying the line just by the way it's written.
I agree with Kate Oates.
So we'll see if this works on EastEnders, shall we?
So we're working on the strength of Kate Oates' theory that you're going to know who this is from their first line.
That was like one of her TED Talks, but not a TED Talk.
TEDx.
Same thing.
A bit more watered down TED Talk. All right, so we're with the Slater family this week.
Okay.
So the characters are Sean Slater, Mo Harris, Little Mo Slater, Stacey Slater, and Jean Slater.
Right, all the Slaters.
All the Slaters.
Full house.
I don't lie, it is a Slater week. So I'm going to say a line, and then you have to match them up. And you can change one of them once. So if you change your mind over one of them, you can change it.
Okay.
But have confidence. You've learned anything from Halfway's Hat, have confidence with what you first believe. You've got to believe, Ben. So here is line number 1. Are we nearly there yet? That's line number 1. Okay. Are we nearly there yet?
Are we nearly there yet? Do I get a year that this was said? No?
No, because if I give you the year, it'll probably tell you.
Was it when they were moving in to the...
It would lean toward that,
I watched it recently. Are we there yet? I think it's Little Mo because she's in like the back of the van when they're moving.
Okay. Right, we'll stick to that one. So, are we nearly there yet was potentially Little Mo's first line. Next first line, not changed in 30 years, still the same old dump.
That's Big Mo.
Okay, so you're putting Big Mo for not changed in 30 years, still the same old dump.
Yep.
Second line, Stacey. Whose first line was Stacey?
Jean.
Oh, okay. So you're putting Jean with that one.
Yep.
Next line, Charlie. I didn't know it was you. Who said Charlie? I didn't know it was you. The options just once more: Sean Slater, Mo Harris, Little Mo Slater, Stacey Slater, and Jean Slater.
Sean Slater?
Okay.
I don't know.
Put it down. Don't forget you can do a swap.
Yeah, I'm going to do a swap because it's my last one.
Yeah, and the last one is, and this is a long one, the last one. I don't believe this. My ticket's gone. I swear I bought one. This really weird bloke sat next to me. He kept staring at me really funny. He must have gone into my pocket. That was their first line. You're left with Stacey Slater. Do you think that's who said that as their first line?
Yes, that's Stacey.
Okay. So that's Stacey.
I'm not sure about the Sean and Stacey thing, but it's fine.
Right, so do you want to swap 2 round?
No.
You don't want to swap any? I mean, I'm going to give you a clue. You've got 3 right. So potentially if you swapped 2 round, you'd have 5. Long pregnant pause.
Yeah, I'm going to...
How are you getting on at home, eh? How are you getting on?
I'm thinking about Sean Slater's first word might have been Stacey. Okay. No, I don't know. No, I was going to swap Stacey and Sean. I don't know why.
Swap Stacey's and Sean's.
Yeah.
So you think Sean said, "I don't believe this. My ticket's gone. I swear I bought one. There's really weird bloke sat next to me. He kept staring at me really funny."
No, I don't think Sean said that.
No.
I think Stacey said to Charlie though.
But Charlie, I didn't know it was you.
No, I'm going to keep it as I've got.
Well, you know you've only got 3 then.
Yeah, but I can't work out what to swap without swapping them all. So I'm going to stick with that.
Okay, I'll go through the ones you got correct. So Mo Harris, who was introduced on the 18th of September 2000, said, "Not changed in 30 years, still the same old dump."
Yeah.
That was her first line.
Yeah.
Little Mo said on the same date, 18th of September 2000, "Are we nearly there yet?"
Yeah.
And you're quite right, she was in the back of the van, and they kept stopping and saying, "Oh, we're just in the cafe," and so on.
Are you impressed that I got all that information though? That's good.
I did. You're a fountain of knowledge. Stacey Slater's first introduction was on the 1st of November 2004, and her line was, "I don't believe this, my tickets have gone. I swear I bought one, this really weird bloke." She said it to the Ticketmaster at the Walford train station and then ran away because she obviously hadn't paid for a
So
ticket.
I should have swapped.
So if you had swapped Sean and Jean around, you would have got 5 out of 5.
Nearly.
So Sean Slater's first line on the 22nd of August 2006 was, "Stacey." Interesting, at the beginning of the episode, he walks through the market to "What's that coming over the hill? Is it a monster?"
That's a trailer.
Yeah, I thought that was quite apt for what we later found out about Sean. And yet, Jean's first line on the 16th of December 2004, when Stacey goes back home after being turfed out of the Slater house in Wolford, was, "Charlie, I didn't know it was you." Because Charlie was with Stacey.
Yeah, of course, yeah, he dropped her off.
He dropped her off.
So nice.
There you go. Well, you're 3 out of 5.
Oh, that's so close.
Very good. Does anyone have any first impressions of characters that they would like us to maybe play a game of Court Stinks In Ere with?
You bitch.
You cow. Let us know by emailing eastendersweekly@gmail.com or going to our Twitter at EastEndersWeek, our Instagram EastEnders Weekly Podcast, or our Facebook group. Just search EastEnders Weekly Podcast. And that was Ben with the very first ever game of Core. It Stinks In Ere.
Right, so we have Ben dominating the week again. So dominant he is, isn't
he? Yeah.
If only the hitman he hired was the same one that Mick almost hired, he could have talked Ben out of it.
Funny you should say that.
Right there
I was
and
thinking the exact same thing. Yeah, he could have had a nice little chat at the bar.
Although not as sexy, has to be said.
Well, I tell you, Ben was hot down that alleyway, wasn't he? He was... Steam was coming off of him, I think.
I read a interesting thing that someone posted online yesterday. I wanted to hear your opinion on it about Ben. How he feels that Phil's issue with him is his sexuality.
Oh, right.
And someone posted that they thought it isn't actually that is his issue. Phil's issue with Ben is that he knows how dangerous he is, and that because he's murdered in the past, Phil never has murdered, that Phil's actually scared of Ben, and he knows that Ben can go that one step further than Phil ever can, and that's his problem.
Right. Okay.
I read that and I thought, could be something in that.
Yeah, there certainly could. So he's keeping him at arm's length deliberately
because he knows he would go to more lengths than Phil himself would go. Because we all know Phil never murdered.
No, he's come close,
directly,
but he's never directly murdered someone. So I
thought that was an interesting theory.
It is interesting. I mean, would you push someone away though? Wouldn't you try to keep them on side rather than making them angry?
This is Phil angry. This is the male Mitchell. Like he was always brought up
abused,
as a man, wasn't he?
Yeah, to be man. But then that kind of knuckles down to his sexuality, doesn't it? Because this week Ben does allude to being upset with Phil because he feels like there's always going to be that rift between him and his dad because of his sexuality. Phil doesn't look at him in the same way as he does Keanu or Jay or Louise.
I love how Keanu was on that list of Ben's thing. Like Keanu's quite new, relatively new to Phil's world, but he's above Ben on the list apparently.
Well, he's proven himself though, like you said, in the old school manner. He's proven himself. He's had sex with his wife. He's been able to fight for himself in Spain, although we actually know otherwise.
Well, he lived.
He survived that beating, but there's stories behind it, isn't there?
Legends.
These legends, that he was able to take on 20 men, 30 men, 100 men.
Spanish men.
But we know better. We know that Keanu just rolled up in a ball and kind of just went, please don't kill me.
I mean, Ben, he's been jumping to great lengths since his return anyway, which has been just believable for the character of Ben. I mean, hiring a hitman straight away to bump off Billy seemed a bit like... Really? A bit jump the shark.
I mean, it was, but I liked it. I
did
really
not like
liked
it,
that
but I just
story.
thought, what if his thing is to take down Phil Mitchell? Why don't you just hire a hitman, take down Phil Mitchell.
Oh, Phil Mitchell's made from thicker skin than Billy. Billy's is like tissue skin. It's like the, when the elderly people have or my hands, you can see all the veins through it. Like, that's what Billy is. No, I liked that he was so disgusted by Billy's portrayal by him instead of...
Yeah, but Lola was the one that told Billy, so why didn't he hire a hitman for Lola as well?
But this is the thing, isn't it? This is the matter, because he sees... Again, this was mentioned in this week's episode, that he sees Lola as his own, his family. So as much as he likes...
can just abuse.
Well,
He's been quite abusive to her.
He does prod and probe her and kind of, mentally wind her up. But at the same time, she's the mother of his child, Lexi, the Ben Mitchell
Yeah, but
dynasty.
even when Ben returned, we have not seen him be particularly kind to Lexi. Like when she had that bunny rabbit a few weeks ago, she wanted to show it to him and she just threw it on the floor and said, just leave me alone, Lexi.
Yeah, but that's his father's roots coming out, isn't it?
I find it's very hard to know with Ben what he says and what he's actually thinking. It's like, I don't believe anything he says because nothing matches up to something that happens like the next week.
I mean, we always have that knowing kind of look off camera, don't we? As viewers, we're able to work it out from the knowing look off camera.
Yeah, we had a few of them this week.
We did with Ben, and Ben did it a few times. He did it with his dad, and he did it. I think he did it with Callum as well. But he didn't do it with Lola. And when he was crying and almost kind of explained himself why this plan will work out for Lexi and Lola, I half expected when Lola walked off into the kitchen for him to kind of just dry his eyes and be like, there you go, I've sorted her out again now this time. But he didn't. No. He seemed very genuine with his tears around Lola and Lexi.
But was he?
I think he is.
Next week, something else who'll abuse her.
Because he says that's his own. So at the end of the week, Phil has a chat with Ben after Ben has kind of redeemed himself from saving Billy from the hitman that he had originally hired.
Yes, because he didn't know that Will was going to be with him.
No.
But it turned out he was, but he didn't want Will to get her, or he didn't want Will to see Billy get shot, I guess.
Well, it would be pretty sick if he saw a dad getting shot in public, wouldn't it?
Do you think Ben just has this big idea? He thinks, I'm going to hire a hitman, that sounds cool. And then when it actually came to it, he's like, oh, actually, this is real.
Well, no, because he was up for it throughout the whole day. Like, when he saw Billy, he kept doing little jives.
Will was there.
It was just because he saw them coming out the train station and saw he was a kid. And
so do you think he would have just let it happen if Billy was on his own then? Do you think even at the last minute?
Yeah, I think he would have gone ahead. No, I don't think he would have he would have battered an eyelid.
So he seemed quite shocked with himself when he was in the hospital. Like it actually hit him like, oh, I just hired an actual hitman to kill someone. But
every time Ben
went wrong.
Arranges something, it ultimately goes wrong. And I think that's what surprises him a little bit. He's like, oh, I didn't think that one through very well. And I think that's why he always seems quite taken aback every time it happens. He doesn't think like 3 steps
ahead.
No, he doesn't.
Thinks in the present, doesn't he?
He's very hot-headed, isn't he? So he's just immediately his gut reaction when he hears that Billy had spoken to Phil, or warned Phil that you shouldn't trust Ben, was, oh, I'm gonna have him killed. And that was his gut reaction. I mean, again, that would add lots of suspicion if it had gone through and Billy had been shot. The finger of blame would immediately be pointed to Ben. So again, it's not the smartest of Ben's many dumb ideas, and in every angle, he's really not. And Phil, again, as I said at the end of the week, Phil says that to him. He says he's worried about him because
over his head.
He's over his head, and he gets a bit hot-headed. But he looks after his own, and Phil opens that umbrella as Ben as well. So he kind of says he doesn't really show it, but he does look after his own.
Yeah, well, I think Ben looking after his own is looking after just him. I don't think he does care about Lola.
But then he said to Lola that it included her and Lexi.
Yeah, he said that to her face just to keep her at bay, I think.
Do you think he was
I don't think he does care about Lexi or Lola. I don't think he ever really has.
I mean, he brought them both in to carry out his plan.
Yeah, that didn't... I don't know if he has actually planned this plan out.
Well, no, this is what
really
I mean. There's no real plan.
He didn't need to bring Lola into this plan. Like she's been nothing but actually a hindrance to all of his things. I
mean, it does soften his character a little bit though to have Lexi and Lola there, because it shows him as being a bit of a family man. He's looking after them. He's using them as a pawn, I suppose, for showing to all the family.
Lola, he's horrible.
Yeah, but he's showing the family that he is looking after Lola. Yeah. That he wants the best for them both.
Creating an image, isn't he?
That's it. He's creating an image for himself and his little family, or his own, as he puts it himself, as he copies his own father as saying.
I mean, speaking about giving him some characterization, it was nice that they had that little mention earlier in the week where he saw Paul's headband in... Callum was playing around with it. He said he found it in there, didn't he?
Yeah, and he just kind of broke it and dismissed it.
Mm.
Yeah, it
was nice to mentioning Paul. It was nice to mention it. Kind of like forgotten. Like, we've not seen the tattoo. He's always had that ring covering it, so it's kind of been like an elephant in the room.
But he wants to forget about Paul, though, doesn't he? The fact he broke the hairband didn't really show any kind of remorse for doing it either. He just kind of broke it and threw it on the floor. Didn't want to, and most people would probably want to see it and keep it and take it away with them. And as you say, he's covering up his tattoo with the ring. So I think Paul is one of those. He suppressed it a little bit, so he doesn't have to feel guilt for it anymore.
Yeah, or emotion. He wants to be quite emotionless.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to be attached to anything, does he?
No, well, and it's shown also through his...
Apart from Callum, of course.
Of course. But it's shown also through his casual sex with, people. He's being he's being very promiscuous, isn't he? He's got the app on his phone where he's basically seeing someone every night. He flirts. With hitmen. With hitmen. He flirted with Keanu. He was really when he was having that argument with Keanu, after Keanu got that mask of Ben's face in the post and saying, if you want to be like me, then you can, wear this mask.
Got that printed out quick, didn't he?
Oh, he's had a weekend. Go down to Vista Print, sorted. That fight was more of a turn on to him. That argument with Keanu you could tell he was really getting hot from it. And I think he sees violence as quite sexual. And so that when he does these really horrific plans where he wants to hire someone to murder the people trafficking or something like that, I think
adrenaline rush.
Not just that, I think he gets off on it, and I think that's perhaps where he runs with his mind, because it's what a lot of women say where he thinks with his groin rather than with his head. And so he's overtaken with this wild emotion, this sexual emotion. You might find out that his storyline will ultimately be that he's a bit of a sex addict.
Also, this storyline, we had Billy and Honey sort of settling the scores, because Lola wanted to know why he hadn't told Honey that he knows about Adam. And he had a very long scene with Honey where he was given a chance to do some proper acting again, finally, after all these years.
No. He did some proper acting at Halloween. Let's never forget the Halloween where he lost a tooth.
Yes.
And jumped out at Janet.
But that was a nice scene for him.
Yeah, it was a really heartfelt scene, actually, between them two.
Being a proper character again, not just this buffoon.
That's right. And because I think Billy, a couple of weeks ago, said that everyone sees me as a bit of a clown, a bit of an idiot, so I've accepted that role. But he also wants to correct a few wrongs around Honey, and he doesn't want to lie to her anymore.
No. Well, he did lie to her, but then he came clean. In the hospital.
Yes.
And told her like it was a dodgy job. That's why Will was with me. But she said, "I do love you, but I can't trust you."
Yes.
Little does she know what Adam's up to.
Well, exactly. And I suppose this is why Billy was quite right to say to Lola that if he'd just come out and said, "I know that Adam's kissed a Bieber and perhaps more," Honey's just going to see that as another, gap between them and just think, "Oh, why are you lying? Why are you saying these things?" So I think Billy's just trying to slowly get the trust back between him and Honey. And I think over time he will, until ultimately when he says something, the seed will be planted into Honey's head.
I wasn't particularly upset when Ben had the idea of killing Billy, I must say. I wasn't like, oh no, not Billy.
Well, we were all expecting it to actually be a bit of time off Billy. I genuinely thought it was going to go through and
induced coma for a few months.
That's right, and he was going to be off screen. Perhaps that's what they could do with Stacey.
Yeah, maybe.
Hire a hitman. Get Kush could hire a hitman so he can have custody of Arthur.
Yeah.
There you go. It's all written itself.
So we sort of ended the week, like we said, with Ben showing tears and emotion to Lola, and we assume that conversation was one that he meant. Well,
you don't seem very sure, but it's just that all throughout the week and since Ben's come back, every time he said something and he's being a bit dodgy, he does a little look off on to the camera, and as a viewer you see that. But he didn't do that at the end of Friday's episode.
He had one lager.
Yeah, it's enough. It's apparently I thought everyone was really hardy drinkers on the square. Like, they got the Vic that they go to most nights. I mean, we'll talk about Mel and Jack and Max and Denise in a minute, because they did drink quite a lot that fateful Friday night. But like everyone just seems to have like one or two drinks now. Maybe they've been told by Drink Aware to like the campaign to maybe just kind of tone down the drinking on the square.
I mean, speaking of their drinking, Mel was taking down about 10 bottles. She was fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't phase her at all.
Moving on to Max and Mel. I mean, Mel had one bottle of wine whilst babysitting a child. Let's just remember this. Looking after a child.
Minimum. Don't know what she had at home.
True. She'd already downed a couple of shots of tequila before. Then Max turned up and had another bottle. They were about to drink a third bottle. And then later on Friday's episode, they were getting a fourth bottle out of the fridge. So 4 bottles of wine.
She was fine. She's used to it now, isn't she?
Yeah, her blood is wine.
But yeah, I'm very confused with Mel. I can't work out what her plan is. We obviously know that she's trying to get money for Hunter, but there was like a schoolhouse property she was looking at, and like apparently Jack's looking into it, and then he has files on it.
Well, Jack
I have no idea what's
mentioned,
going on.
Yeah, Jack mentioned that he was interested in maybe teaming up with Mel for this schoolhouse property.
Okay.
So then Mel used the excuse that she wanted to get onto Jack's computer whilst babysitting Amy, for her online streaming service to... I love that they didn't say Netflix. Online streaming service.
Pornhub.
Yeah. I'm a premium member. So she could get on the computer, Jack's computer, and look up the survey. So then when she spoke to Jack later, she could then look like she's clued up on it without
having to do her own survey. Basically.
Yeah, that's right. So she already knew that it was quite
Japanese
close to
not weed.
Yeah, Japanese not weed. It was quite close to a motorway or something as well.
Train station.
A train station. Oh, surely that's a good thing though. If you're working, you'd want a flat.
No, I don't think that was the problem. The problem was the Japanese not weed.
Oh, okay.
Because that can lower your property like thousands.
Well, yes, because it rots through the concrete
and it like grows like quicker than you can take it away. It's some weird.
I don't think it dies properly either.
No.
It's just always constantly there. That's how this world's going to end. It's just going to be covered in Japanese not weed.
Good.
Wow.
And there'll just be Mel left there with bottles of wine.
The apocalypse. The Melopolypse.
Okay, so what's her plan? She wants to... Why didn't she just go in partnership with him then?
Well, because she can show that she isn't just some kind of jack of all trades, like specialist of none. She
How is she going to go in with him though if she's got no money? I don't get it.
Well, no, because that's what she's trying to do. She's trying to get Jack's money, so then Jack's paying for the legal fees for Hunter. That's her plan.
Yeah, why would Jack do that? Why, if he can afford the schoolhouse with just his money, why don't you just get the schoolhouse? Why does he need Mel?
Because he's got so many properties on his portfolio that he needs a second person to have.
Is that the actual reason?
Run it?
Well,
no, that's just me. Well, no, that's just what I'm guessing.
Can't understand why she hasn't got anything to like give him 50%, can she? Or 10% or 20%. So what is she offering to give Jack to then go in with this schoolhouse with him with?
Like I say, maybe
can't work it out.
But maybe that's the plan then. Maybe it's because she's basically saying, I don't have the money, but I have the expertise.
What, of Japanese not weed?
Yeah. I can do a survey before a survey's even been carried out. You know, she's done an online course.
It's very odd, isn't it? And also the fact that they're trying to hook her and Max up.
Oh, I don't like that at all. That's just... I mean, why does Max always have to have a storyline where he's romantically entangled with someone? Every time. Every time.
At least this storyline where he's not with someone.
Even the actor looks bored. I'm sorry, but the actor...
Shuffling around with his shoes.
If you listen to his podcast, Jake Wood is really enthusiastic and excited, and he's like, really happy to be doing it. This is literally his 9 to 5 now. He's literally using this just to prop his...
Well, he's not got much to do, is he?
But it's the same story again. Yeah. Romantically entangled with someone who's a bit dangerous and using the Branning family in order to get what they want. I mean, he said himself that Rainey is a bit thick because she should see by now that he had this affair in France with another woman. Surely she should work it out by now that Rainey should leave. And Mel kind of uses the reason that, like, I'm no fool because you can ask the guy who's buried in the ground. So, I'm tough. So I can stand on my own 2 feet.
Hopefully she can bury Max then. But dead this time.
I was going to say, not alive, alive.
I'm not impressed with this. I don't like Jack and Denise together. That's weird.
I quite like Jack and Denise, and the dating scene they had in Wolford East I thought was really quite genuine and nice. When he asked about her youngest, thinking Libby, and she gives him the answer, oh yeah, Libby's fine, but my actual youngest, Raymond, I
2 now.
2 now, yeah.
Didn't mention the fact that he dated her eldest, but that would be a bit awkward for a first date, I guess.
I guess so, yeah.
That was swept under the carpet, Jack. But
he can compare them later.
I have no time for Denise and Jack or Max and...
Denise and Jack are fine. It's weird. I think it's just so Jack...
It's that weird name generator thing they're doing. They're just generating 2 names and being like, they're a couple.
But we said last week, Kate Oates hasn't got a great reputation for creating couples. But I think on this instance where Jack and Denise are getting together, it's the necessity so that Jack is always out the house so that Mel can then find information and babysit, basically.
It's a stopgap because they've also got that Denise and Mitch thing, haven't
they?
Where I'm guessing they're eventually going to end up together. So I think Jack and Denise must just be a stopgap for now, I hope.
I think so too. But as I say, it's a device to get Mel into the Branning house through babysitting and being able to get
Max as well.
Well, I think dating Max is a device for Mel to trick Jack out of money. So the Jack and Denise and the Mel and Max story, I don't think will go any further than until Mel gets found out, and then it'll just be abolished. And
I'm still struggling to work out even how Mel is hoping to get any money from this. I just don't understand.
Well, like I say, her expertise in not weak.
Yeah, but it literally makes no sense. Please, someone comment to us and tell me what that week's storyline with Mel was about, please.
Okay.
I don't understand.
On Twitter, @EastEnders Week, Instagram, EastEnders Weekly Podcast, or find our Facebook group, EastEnders Weekly Podcast. Just search it and join. Or you can email Ben a really long theory. Make it pages long.
I actually want one, because it doesn't make any sense to me. Jack's got nothing to gain from her. She's got no money, but she wants half the money of the schoolhouse. Why? EastEndersWeekly@gmail.com. Also, where did this schoolhouse come from? What is this schoolhouse?
Yeah.
Why does Jack want a schoolhouse?
Well, we can turn it into flats. They turn a lot of psychiatric hospitals and schoolhouses into flats. Portfolio, Ben. Portfolio. Anyway, I think we should rest it there.
Yeah.
I think we're okay now. We've got through the week.
I'm looking forward to next week.
I was going to say, a week that you've obviously found very difficult to get through, because I can just tell. So should we find out who has won this week?
No one.
You know me, I ain't one to gossip.
So this is the end of the show where we read out your tweets and your Instagram messages to us, and also find out who had won the week on the square. But before we find out who'd won this week, from this year, 2019, we find out who's won previous years of this week, where Ben jumps onto his little scooter of time and rides, knocking people over on his way to the past.
Yes, and when it's a bad week on EastEnders, I like doing this because it fills me with hope. But one of them that I did was the 18th of May, 1999, and someone is returned. Natalie Evans is back full-time on the square.
To see Barry?
No, not yet. Bianca and Ricky are together, but Bianca's very upset because obviously we know back in the past, Natalie and Ricky and Bianca had that triangle, didn't they? So Bianca's upset because she knows that Natalie is back and she's seen Ricky and Natalie talk, but Ricky hasn't told Bianca that Natalie is back.
Right.
Keep up with that.
Not really.
So she's very upset, and then because she thinks something's going to happen between Natalie and Ricky because he's not telling her the truth. But good old Pat comes down into the Vic. There's a really weird situation, actually. Ricky, Bianca, and Peggy are living together in the Vic. That's a bit weird, isn't it?
Ricky, Bianca, and Peggy?
Yeah. I thought that's an odd mix. But so yeah, Pat gives us some words of wisdom, basically, don't be so stupid. If I had a man as good as Ricky when I was young, I would have clung on to him.
Yeah, no, Ricky's quite the catch.
Yeah, so that...
Does he still have his middle parting hairstyle?
Oh, yeah.
Is it still long? Or is
no, it's short.
Oh, it doesn't have the ponytail.
Oh. So Pat's words of wisdom sink through to her, and Bianca and him kiss in front of Natalie in the Vic, just to show that they're a strong couple.
What does Natalie think about this?
Not much. I didn't watch her bits.
Oh, okay. Oh, poor Natalie.
She just looks like, she just looks as they're kissing in the background. Yeah. It was one of those.
Stunned, but also angry.
Also, I forgot to mention our birthdays and deaths, because one of the deaths lead into one of the episodes I watched. So the birthday that we missed this week, which could have been brought up on Jack and Denise's date, Chelsea's birthday.
Oh!
20th of May, 1987.
Chelsea, I wonder what she's up to now.
Getting her nails done.
I mean, you're not
for her birthday.
Yeah. I bet she works in a call centre. But she's really senior in the call centre.
What do you think?
Yeah, and she's got, like you say, the long nails, and so a lot of the employees can hear in the background tapping on the keyboard. Yeah, I bet that's what Chelsea does now.
And we had 2 deaths. 25th of May, 2018 was our Shaquille, which they mentioned on this week's show.
Yep.
And also 22nd of May, 2012 was Lorraine Stevens' death off screen. You may be asking, who's Lorraine Stevens?
You certainly are.
The actress played one of the Julies in Bad Girls. Not Gary's mum, the other one. And that was Mandy Salter's mum. Do you remember Mandy Salter? She was with Mark back years and years ago Mark Fowler,
Mm.
and then she came back for a return. She got with Ian. This is the
Oh,
episode.
yes.
She was also in Bad Girls with Sid.
She was in Bad Girls.
She
yes.
had a baby with Sid.
Yes.
Ricky.
Yeah. There's a few from Bad Girls who.
There is. Aunt Babe.
Yeah.
Shirley.
Of course.
So yeah, basically
Tina.
Yeah, Tina, series 1.
She's
only 4 episodes though.
Prison guard.
She got carted out.
She
got put in prison.
The puns. Carted. Clever.
And also Linda was in Bad Girls too.
She was.
This could be a game.
Well, no, we can't play it now. We've just revealed them all.
Basically, Ian is trying to really quickly arrange a wedding with Mandy. At the same time, Lucy Bill is trying to de-arrange everything Ian is arranging, so they're not getting married.
Well, so she's phoning up the people who's making arrangements.
But she's using Mandy's name to cancel everything.
Right.
So Ian now thinks that Mandy's cancelling the wedding, so he's very angry.
Right.
Alfie Moon's disappeared again.
Of course he has.
His best man. So he then gets Max as his best man, even though they're not friends or know each other.
God, 15 years down the line, that's going to be very troublesome.
But the wedding doesn't go ahead because Lucy Bill's cancelled it all.
When's this? 2001?
2012.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you said 2000. I was thinking Max hasn't been in there for that long, has he?
No. Well, he's been 10 years, so no.
Yeah.
He hasn't.
No, not quite.
So yeah, Lucy's done all that. Mandy then turns up to the Bill house. Ian starts shouting at her.
Of course.
But at the same time, she's been to hospital because obviously we know her mother died off screen. So that's why she was busy, not noticing all this stuff about the wedding.
Right.
So,
she's a bit preoccupied.
A bit. But Lucy was very happy with her scheming that she'd done. Because she didn't want them to get married.
Lucy didn't like her very much, did she?
No.
She always thought she was not good enough for her dad.
And then soon after that, the actress quit.
Fair enough. Don't blame her.
So Mandy was off.
She was off again. To do what?
Bad Girls.
That's something we should bring back. I'm doing this now.
Yeah.
Find out what she's up to now.
But I must say, the 2012 was so awful. Everything else in between it. Kim was doing Zumba lessons.
Right.
That was one of the main stories.
Cutting edge, modern.
And Michael Moon was trying to con Jean into investing in the boxing ring gym.
I do remember that.
It was. Yeah, it was really bad.
He kept using her mental illness.
And he was like, all these kids here, they're all troubled. They need a mum in the ring. It was really weird. Really awful cast. There was loads of random people who aren't really notable characters, and it was just dark times.
Dark times indeed. You just reminded me, we didn't mention when we were doing the roundup, Jean mentions a guy when she does her chemo.
Oh yeah, really annoying.
And yeah, really annoying guy, but he's not there today. Do you reckon that's Adrian Edmondson?
Yeah, I think so. So he's obviously
being mentioned.
He's there having chemo, isn't he?
Yes.
So yes, I'm wondering if they're going to get together, fall in love, and then he'll tragically pass away. That's my theory.
So thank you, Ben, for that roundup. We're going to find out who's won this week now. So we had 4 that we offered, which was Sonia's Suspicions, Mitchell Mishap, Caring Callum, and Kush's Custody. On our Facebook and on our Twitter, we had...
Few tongue twisters there.
Thank you very much. We had 2 nominations from others as well. One was Taylor's Love Triangle and one was Male Conspires. So thank you for your mentions, but you do add them to the vote. We add it to our vote on Facebook, our Facebook group, and our Instagram. So who do you think, of those 6, who do you think came 5th? Yeah.
Mel, because no one understood Mel.
No, Mel came last with 5%.
Understandable.
5th was Sonia's Suspicions with 6%.
Okay.
4th was Kush's Custody for 12%. 3rd was the Taylor Love Triangle with 16%. Second place was Caring Callum with 22%.
Aww.
So the winner, finally, Ben Mitchell's got a win.
He did it.
Mitchell Mishap with 39%. Not the most convincing win, but finally people are beginning to...
Those tears.
That's right. People are beginning to relate to Ben Mitchell. A few comments, as we always have. Thank you guys for getting in touch with us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. On our Facebook group, Pat had said, Tiff and Keegan make a very believable pair, and Bernie's hurt feelings add depth to the story.
Yes, I agree. That was the best storyline this week. The most real.
On Instagram, I'm sorry, I don't have the name, but they said, when Tiffany broke up with Keegan, can't wait to see what she does next. So that's her high. When Tiffany broke up with Keegan, what they're going to do next.
Sad. His little face at the train station. Bless him.
Keegan.
Yeah.
And at A-Through43 said, Bernie, she was great. A good week. More of a plot blubber, if you will. Setting out stories with Kush and Bex and moving things on. Ben, Billy and Honey was sound, but very low key. So that's what I said. Like, they just moved things along quietly this week. And it worked. So there was no real highs. No real lows, just bubbled along. bubbled along. This week you may have noticed that someone had been revealed to be coming back to the soap for a short stint, and that is Patsy Palmer.
That is just ridiculous.
Reprising her role as Bianca Jackson, née Butcher, or whatever it is that she's
I'm sure when
now.
Sean was released, didn't we say the only one that probably won't ever come back will be Zoe and Bianca?
Yeah, we were adamant that Bianca wouldn't come back.
Yeah.
This is the power of Oates and Sen.
Yeah, this is John Sen's doing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was his idea.
His
he
idea.
spoke to her, so it's not all Oates.
I know, but kudos to
short
both.
return, so I'm assuming it'll be similar to what Sean did, like over 2 weeks maybe.
I'm wondering if it also not be done so much on the square, but outside, just so the filming can be done in one big bulk load. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're filming Whitney's wedding, aren't they? Or a wedding with Whitney and Tiff, so maybe it links in with that, maybe.
Yeah,
I'm assuming, because she starts this in the summer, I think, doesn't she?
Oh, okay. So.
Mm-hmm.
But no, because it's coming out in the October-November time.
Mm.
So yeah, I suppose that would make some sense if she films maybe October.
They might be filming it
September.
out of sync, like they did with Sean, didn't they?
But they have to be careful, because if it's really sunny outside, and they're showing scenes in November.
Are you happy to see Bianca back?
Yes and no. I'm glad it's a short stint. I wouldn't want her to be there for too long. But yeah, she's an iconic character. She's someone you remember from when you watched it when you were younger. It's nice to see characters come back in that respect.
It'd be nice to see her and Tiff now that Maisie Smith's older, because she's such a good actress. It'd be good to see their scenes together. And lots of people seem to be excited to see what Karen and Bianca will be like clashing.
Yes. As you said, a lot of people have mentioned that. We asked people to let us know what they thought on Twitter, and we had a few replies. At Fathead1987 says, Kate Oates has a reputation and power to get whoever she wants. Just hope we get a permanent return for Janine.
That's what I'm excited for, because the Butcher, like maybe Ricky will turn up and it'll open doors for Janine, I hope.
That'd be really exciting, actually.
But it'd be strange seeing Janine without Pat for the first time.
Yeah, but I mean, Janine is, again, she's like Rainey. She's quite conniving and scheming. And I think if my plan is true, then Rainey will have a kind of an ultimate end in the hands of Stuart, and then bring Janine in just to kind of replace Rainey with another femme fatale. That'd be fun and exciting. As always, and as we mentioned a few times, don't forget to get in touch with us on Twitter at EastEnders Week. You can get us on Instagram at EastEnders Weekly Podcast, or our Facebook group. Just search EastEnders Weekly Podcast and click join. You can also email us at eastendersweekly@gmail.com. You can vote for our EastEnders Weekly Podcast Awards by going to bit.ly/EEW Awards. And don't forget to give us a rating on iTunes and a comment by just looking on your favourite podcast apps.
Right, and before we go, don't forget to vote.